Hi, welcome to Thomas Brown Coaching. Today I'd like to talk about triggers and how triggers can affect our mood and how to observe them and what kind of effect they might have on us. There's different kind of triggers, and certain triggers I'd like to focus on will be negative ones today, and to be kind of aware of them, to bring awareness about what they might be and how they might affect us. One trigger I'd like to look at is the trigger of, let's say, of media, what we consume and what we kind of bring in, especially in a time like this, with the whole coronavirus thing. There's a lot of people that are focusing on what's happening in the world and what's happening on the news. And how that, watching a lot of that stuff and watching how, all the negativity around it can actually create a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety for the future and for the present, really. How watching that kind of, is it good for us? Is it good for watching too much of it? Like, we're aware that it's happening. How much of it should we be consuming, on the other hand, is a different story. Like, I can sit back and watch those numbers go up. I can see what's happening in different countries. I can see what different governments are doing, what governments are doing in my country, But I cannot control what is happening. What is happening is happening. It's an obstacle, How do I let it affect my mood, How should we let it affect our mood? These things happen, and maybe not to this scale, but different things are constantly happening in the world. If we worry about the possibility of it happening to us, or if we worry about, something bad happening, another thing, we consume ourselves with worry. We consume ourselves with fear. We can do our part and stay inside, okay? But should we be worrying about whether it's going to happen, whether it's not going to happen, what effect that it might have on the future? And how it affects our thought process. Should we let it get us down? Like, it's affecting everyone. It's something that everybody has in common at the moment. How should we, should we let it consume us with fear? Or should we just try to ride out the wave of it? It will pass eventually. And if it doesn't, we will create, or our governments or our society will create mechanisms around it so that it protects more people, And unfortunately, we do have to have a certain amount of trust in these things. But with anything, we'd have to have a certain level of trust, And watching the news and watching constantly and being consumed by that fear, it's one of those things, like, how do most people react to fear? How do people react to anxiety of something bad's going to happen? It affects our thoughts. It makes us go all kind of tight and negative in ourselves. I don't want this to happen to me. I'm afraid. I don't want it to happen to people around me, We cannot control certain things. If something, we can control what we do, we can't control what others do. So, you can focus on what you're doing yourself. Should you be consuming so much information around it? I don't know. Everybody has an opinion on it, and different governments are doing different things. The information that we're getting from multiple sources is just all of this fear, And it's one of those things. We want to go into a better place, into a more positive place, look towards our future. And there'll always be obstacles. So try not to focus on the bad things. Focus on what, good things people are doing. And by looking at the good things and the positive things that come out of it, like, no matter what it is, there'll always be a positive result from something like this. Even though, it's unfortunate, a lot of people are affected by it and a lot of people are dying. But something will come out of it. Something will get better from it. Whether that's the mechanism around creating more ventilators if something happens again, or to just be aware of a better system in place to kind of alleviate it if it ever happens again. These things are out of our control. We might, if, and to also be positive for the people around us that we're surrounded by. If they're consuming a lot of that, how is that affecting their mental health, and the amount of negativity that is kind of coming on them. Negativity is never a good thing. What positives can we take from it? And that might be a good way to kind of see it, because at the end of it, when this passes, we're still here. And what can we do with the time that we have if it didn't affect us? How do we approach that? Do we see it as, oh my God, this is scary? Or do we see it, oh my God, like, I have this time left. I was lucky. I'm still here. I have this time left. What am I going to do with it? And like one good thing that you could say that comes from it is the sense of, I am living. I am alive. I am still here. I have this life that I have. This, people kind of get lost in the fact that they're working, they have all these things to pay, their chores, their things that they have to do, but forget that behind it all, they're a living human being that has so many possibilities to do whatever that person wants to do. We have choices to live our life a certain way or to be consumed by fear. And yeah, like, should we let fear consume us? That's a major thing. That's something that we should really, really consider. Should we let fear consume us? What effects comes from letting fear consume us? How does it happen if a child is brought up with just fear or anger or negativity? It affects their quality of life. And you want your quality of life for the remaining years that you have to be good, right? That's what it's all about. So, like, what we consume, such as the news, should be kind of, at a certain level, but not all the time. Don't consume all of it. And it's not just the news, the media outlets. It's social media also. What people are saying on social media is all around this. Like, you would say Twitter, Instagram, even, let's say, YouTube, even though I'm on it. I'm talking about it. YouTube and Facebook and all of those, it's just from one thing to the other. If it's not the news, it's social media. And also, another thing that people don't mention is, Netflix. You go to Netflix and the programs that they have on it is all around pandemics and COVID-19, Outbreak, different movies, Contagion. These are popular right now. And then if it's not that, it's like, what's popular on Netflix is like serial killer documentaries. Oh my God, like, the amount of people that watch serial killer documentaries. And, to see it another way, some people might see it as, I'm educating myself in what this person did to make myself safe. But that's like, so you're afraid that something's going to happen to you. And to see it another way, it also kind of advertises the serial killer itself rather than the victims. Something I really disagree with. And it's just, you're going from one bad thing, bad news. Oh, look what this person did. That's really bad. And you're just taking that in all that stuff, all that bad stuff. Fear, anger, violence, the actions that people take in that way. And we're watching that. You mightn't realize it, but that affects how we think. And we might look at the world in a different way. Instead of watching, let's say, a nature documentary and seeing how beautiful the world is, we look at all the horrible stuff that's there, all the stuff that, has had horrible connotations. On top of that, there might be, let's say, music. I have mentioned music before. A lot of music that we listen to, you might disagree with me, but not everyone. We have a choice of what we listen to. Real popular stuff can be very dreary and negative, and if you listen to the lyrics of many songs that you listen to, and that's what I challenge you to do, listen to the actual lyrics of certain songs, and especially the youth of today, you know. Like, I'm not generalizing, it's different for different subgroups and all that, but be conscious of what you're consuming and what you're listening to as well. Some of the music is produced to make you feel bad about yourself. I'll just put that straight out there. It's, you know, it's made to, you know, produce a certain way of thinking. And something that I really disagree with, and a lot of people don't kind of agree on. Well, I think that, you know, I've even been conscious of my mood changing through certain songs that I really like, actually, that I really liked. But I had to stop listening to them because I noticed the change in myself that they created by me listening to them. I would be walking through the park and then a song would come on, either remind me, trigger a memory that I wasn't so comfortable with, maybe, or would trigger, let's say, a selection of thoughts from the lyrics. That at one moment I was fine, and then the next moment my mood has totally changed just because of what I'm consuming, you know? And it's important to realize that the things that we consume, the things that we feed our body, you know, some things aren't good for us. We're aware of it, we like it, but we know that they're not good for us. Some things aren't good for our mind. And a lot of the things, you know, that we think is good for our mind, mightn't be, you know, it's the things we're not aware of it. We're not aware of it. We're not aware that these things, unless someone says it and points it out, and you might believe that, oh, it doesn't, that because you really like it, you know, and you're used to it. Oh, this is the genre I like. I really like this. This is why I listen to it. This defines me. It doesn't define you. You know, it's something that you might have in common with other people. It might be something that you can relate to, but it doesn't define you as a person. Many different things brought together on top of your personality and how you think might define you as a person, but definitely what you consume doesn't. Like, I'm not, if I eat an orange, you know, I'm not defined by that orange I'm eating. You know, I'm not defined by the chicken that I might have later. I'm not defined by eating like chips. Like, that doesn't define me. Like, you know, that's what I'm consuming. It doesn't define me. And likewise, my music choices don't define me. What I watch on TV doesn't define me. What the social media I go through doesn't define me. I have a distinct personality outside of these things, you know? And I don't have to conform to one group or the other. Like, you know, so like what we do as humans is we try to connect with ourselves to a certain thing, to a social group, or to certain genres, just to feel part of something, you know, to feel connected, and that's perfectly normal. But it's important, very important, to see how these things trigger us, you know. If we find that we're very negative and we're very sad, a lot of the time we're very standoffish, by a belief that we've kind of established from what we consume in the news, or from just a change of what we're watching. For instance, our mood has gone down. That's a trigger. Like, that's a trigger. That's triggered that emotions, like those emotions inside of you. To be conscious of the fact that you have emotions that can be triggered by different things is the first step. You know, to observe it objectively is probably a good approach to take. Like, you know, ask yourself, why am I feeling like this now? You know, what caused me to feel like this? How did this thing that I'm watching now cause me to feel like this? And to be observant of these changing feelings. Likewise, if something makes you feel good, if you get up in the morning and you do certain things to make you feel good, isn't to be observant of those things that make you feel good, make you feel happy, make you feel joyous, or certain songs that might trigger you. It's songs that do that for me. A certain patterns of behavior or habits that might make you happier, and certain habits that don't. And to be observant of those things, and then to surround ourselves with the things that do kind of make us feel more positive. Positivity is a beautiful thing, to feel good, to feel like things are going to work makes us more productive. If we think that things are not going to work, we won't want to do it. We won't want to move forward. But where we want to be is in a place where we can move forward and be positive about the future, and the triggers that we surround ourselves with and the habits that we surround ourselves with kind of feed into that, and that's what I was kind of wanted to get out of my system today. How triggers within our environment play a huge part on how we feel, a huge part, and how positive triggers, to know what your positive triggers are, is a good step into moving forward with it. To bring in more positive triggers instead of focusing solely on the stuff that makes us feel awful about ourselves. Yeah. What are they for you? I can notice what the negative ones are easier than I notice the positive ones. Because I'm just conscious of it. I'm conscious of what these, let's say the negative, I can remember more the negative parts than I can the positive. It's almost natural. We're like, we're driven towards negativity almost, right? But trying to get that out and to bring in the positive ones and to focus on what are those positive triggers exactly. What makes me feel really good about myself? And that's an exercise that I'd like you to try, to find out what those positive triggers are outside, and to understand what the negative ones might be. If we can get more understanding of what the negative ones might be, we're in a better place to find what those positive triggers are. And yeah, that's where I'm going to leave it for today. As usual, please like and subscribe and share if you'd like. If you have any comments, please leave them for me. And if there's any topics that you want me to discuss, I can do so. If you just let me know. Yeah, no problem. And thank you very much for either subscribing or liking. I very much appreciate it. I have a lot of work to do to build up this channel, and part of it is I'm doing a video every day. I've built up my own confidence. It's part of that, and to make it easier for me to talk on camera. So yeah, I think it's day 12 of 30. So 18 more topics. If you have any topics for me, that'd be fantastic. Makes it easier than trying to find a topic for the day to discuss. But I was happy about this one. This one was a good one. Until the next video, I hope you have a very pleasant week ahead and a very nice day as it is, or a very nice evening. Until then, take care and look after yourself and be observant of your triggers. Okay, bye.